This conference will now be recorded.
I've added Griffin to the unfinished business for the Gaga Court. Is there any other additions to the agenda, or we need to approve the agenda?
No additions.
Okay. I'm going to jump ahead. We got two people on here, so I'm going to jump ahead to do them, and then we'll come back and do the accounts payable and the approved minutes from last month, if that's okay with you guys.
Absolutely.
We got Kelly here and Griffin, and they don't have to sit on here so long. So I'm going to jump to the unfinished business, dog waste services with Kelly Amundson.
Hi, everyone. I am grateful for Mike allowing me to come back on. So again, let me know if you have any questions. I came in November and wanted to share that I have this new pet butler business, and I suggested that I could help do some waste removal or put up some pet waste removal stations in Zumbrota. And I think I complicated it. So after the meeting, I talked with my husband and we wanted to propose something different to the city of Zumbrota. Number one, we really would like to work in Zumbrota. You guys have been great to our lawn mowing company too. So thank you for even listening. So instead of charging the city, if you guys had any interest, first off, instead of charging the city for the pet waste stations, what we could do is we could take the cost of the stations, we would even put them up, and we were thinking we would charge a fee of $19.99 to put up a station, to maintain it, and that would be what it would cost if you would have us. It depends how many stations you'd even consider putting up, and we would then have to decide how often you'd like them to be serviced. It could be weekly or it could be less frequently, depending on the need. So that is what I wanted to propose tonight. Does that make sense to you guys?
So you put one station up then?
Yeah, like if you just wanted us to do one station, awesome. Obviously, we'd love to put up more because there might be more use for them. But yeah, and we still could even do that this year. I think the ground would allow us to put a station up. I know I sent a list of a few ideas to Mike about where some stations might be useful, but it would be up to you guys what you think would be helpful.
Yeah, I'm just asking. I wasn't here for the November meeting, so I didn't know what was brought up at all. So that's why I was asking.
Yeah, I think I came up with a list of like, I don't know, I don't have it. Okay, the Covered Bridge Park, near the campground, by the Kids Kingdom and the walking path. I feel like there could be a few more added to that area, was my suggestion. East Park, maybe by the skate park, maybe by the pool, maybe by that green area near Quick Trip. I know that there's a little city area that's owned there. And I don't know if there's a park area by the golf course at all that's city owned, or maybe that's just a community area. I don't know. Anyway, those are some ideas I have.
Okay, so that's $19.99 per station?
Correct.
And then for you servicing and stuff, that's included in that $19.99 then, I guess?
Yes. Yes. And we were thinking if we could propose to do this for 3 years, that would help us manage the cost and it would give us some longevity to work with the city. So it would depend on how many stations you want, but yes, $19.99 per station. We would service that for that cost.
Anybody else got any questions or suggestions or?
Can I just recollect here, it was used to be $15 per stop.
Yeah.
$9
Okay,
per stop.
so, I do have that in front of me. So what I was suggesting is to replace the bags and remove the waste, it would be $15 per stop per time. If I was only removing the waste, it would be $9 per stop per time. And then I was going to charge, if it was 10 or more stations, a fee of $345 per station. And if it was less than 10, $460 per station. And it just felt like it was too complicated. I have spoken to some other cities, just for your information. Pine Island, for example, has 16 stations. They don't have any waste receptacles. They just have the stand with the plastic bags, and their city takes care of it. I talked to Byron. They have over 10. The Lions Club donated the stations. So that was one resource they used. I also did talk with the CEDA people, and they did talk about some cities getting mini, I don't know if the right word, mini grants to help pay for this. But again, I haven't been able to dig farther because I haven't had a city willing to talk further more about it, so I haven't gone any farther. So there might be options for getting these stations paid for in another way. And then it would be $15 per stop, but again, I'm open to talking about this price too, so I'm not entirely stuck here on this price.
Okay. Well, it's something that we probably want to kind of talk about a little bit and kind of between us, see how many stations we want and stuff, if we do want them and all, or what's your thought, Mike and Aaron, on that? Just kind of go with talk about a recommendation there a little bit and.
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
make a
I think, Mike, you should like scope it out at least for the board and try to see what you think would be feasible and how many stations you think is something that is needed. Kelly, you've done a great job on picking out some spots, in my opinion. I think most of those are pretty prime spots for something like this, but I'd like Mike's opinion as well to see if he thinks those are kind of meshing up with what you're saying, Kelly.
Yeah, I'm just trying to brainstorm and just glad you guys are listening.
Absolutely.
Is the Pioneer Trail out of our jurisdiction? Can we get a stop on the Pioneer Trail up by 420th or something? It might
So
be
that-
county.
That would be out of our jurisdiction, but, and we have one of those, pet, dispensers now right down by the bridge. So I think kind of like Kelly said, and maybe the thing to do is just for me to get together with Kelly and look over a couple spots there. And again, maybe it's one of those things back of my mind, if you guys are interested in this, that maybe we start with a couple and just see how it goes, and maybe even from the community, we'd get some feedback of what might be some other areas that could be of some use for that. Just my thought.
Yep, I like that.
Can I make
idea.
a comment?
What's that?
I'm wondering if I can make a comment.
Yes.
I had a person come to me kind of with that same idea for Boy Scout Eagle Project, because they walk their dog, and Kelly, I didn't catch it, but the other end of the park, kind of in the camping area, way at the end where it goes into the trail, that was a suggestion. And then a suggestion that they had also was by Kids Kingdom, because they saw the need. So that's just some public input that I had gotten myself.
Okay.
Awesome.
So then what we'll do, we'll take this information, Kelly, and we'll talk to Mike about it, and then he can get a hold of you and maybe go out and scope some things in, and if that works. And
That would be awesome. I am grateful for your openness, and I hope that this could help make it a nice Zumbrota even better. Thank you.
okay, thank you, Kelly.
Yes.
Thank
You
you.
guys have a good meeting.
You too. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Okay, Griffin on the Gaga Court, you're up next.
Okay. I do have a presentation if I could throw that up, but
Yep, I can share my screen or have you share the screen.
okay. It should be, yeah, this one. All right. So I just finished my EO project not too long ago. Zugaga ball. Total there was like 166 hours of time, but that's building and paperwork. There was a lot of paperwork hours. I had 17 helpers on the build day. 3 of them were adults, the rest were youth. The first part I had to do was like cutting the wood and measuring it for the building part. Then I had to remove the sod of the build area. Then the post holes for the 10 posts, there was 8 for the corners, then 2 for the door. Those had to be digged, and we rented a power auger from Hardware Hank over in Pine Island. They donated it to us. Then we filled the center with sand, and we put the posts and gravel in, and put up the walls. And then we put in the ADA door that you guys requested. For the cost, it cost around 15,000 or 1,500. A lot was donated through supplies alone. Raised around 1,300, but we only used 1,200. The extra donations, we decided that will go to the Serota Food Shelf because they're sort of a needing thing right now. I had about 20 donators, including some great businesses. I have 2 Gaga balls that I'm going to donate. One will be at the public library for people to check out. The other will be in the enclosed picnic shelter for those who rent that. This is the plaque. I don't have it yet, but I have it ordered. It's coming, of the donators that I have. This is the first pick. This is the area. We have the the posts marked out, corners, and the door. This is the start of the digging. I don't think I have any pictures of cutting wood in this, but we're first digging up the sod here. I think this might be the largest part with the most helpers right here. This is with all the sod dug up. They're all the helpers at that time. This is a part way through. It's just a different angle. All the help was really nice. Made it go quite quick. This is us with the walls mostly finished. We're graveling in the posts at this time. And that is everyone with the door put on and everything. And that's just of me. Okay. Thank you. That's all. How do I stop sharing? Okay, there you go.
Well, thank you for doing that, Griffin. That turned out really well out there.
Yeah, thank you.
Good addition to the park out there. Thank you.
Very nice job. I really like the addition. Very, very welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to do this.
You're very welcome. Thank you for that. Okay, thank you. Steve or Mike or anybody else got anything to add, or otherwise we'll go on to the next item.
No, I'm good. Thanks, Fred.
Okay, we'll jump, well, let's go back and approve the minutes from the November 2nd, 2020.
Yeah, the minutes look good to me. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for November 2020.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Then we'll look at the accounts payable. We got another refund there. Locate wires.
Must have been about the end of the mowing, huh?
Was that mowing for October then, or November, October?
I believe it was for, oh, did they mow in November? It wasn't a full month. If you go in my office on my desk, if you go in my office on my desk, the invoice is in there.
Yeah, but I think that's right. Isn't it 900 and some a time? And I think they mowed twice, so that looks right. Yep. Yep, I was thinking it was a bigger. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the accounts payable for December 2nd of 2020 in the amount of $2,148.72.
I will second that motion.
Got a motion and a second to approve the accounts payable. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, priority list, campground pool. I'll give you a little update on the campground. I've talked to the gentleman that's getting us a price on drawing it up. He's been really busy. He thanked me for our patience, and I called him last week and told him I would like to have it by Monday, but I never received it, so I'm gonna shoot for the next meeting, I guess, is about all I can do on that. Yeah, he had another guy he had to talk to on some other engineering to see what his cost was gonna be, so he's just getting us a cost of what it's gonna cost to draw it up, so before we decide anything there. And then the pool, I guess, we had that workshop with the pool. And I know the city was gonna try and look and see where we're at on that for the bonding stuff. And I don't know if you had any input on or looked at that.
I guess I'm sorry that we couldn't come up with a better answer. Coming out of that meeting, I had hoped to have, okay, we're shooting for this year or whatever year it might have been. But it became apparent as we talked about it during the week. And then with the council that we need to look at the full list of things we've got to do. You know, there's been many things put off for a number of years in the different areas. So we just need to get our full list of things together. We've got a big list going already in our break area. We put up a piece of paper on an easel, and we've all been writing things down. So that's kind of where we're at right now with that.
Because hopefully the pool's at the top of the list, in my opinion, but we're kind of at a decision, I think, on the pool, aren't we, for next year to, you know, how much we want to spend to even open that thing. And I guess my point on that last meeting was, it's, you know, we were told to go ahead with this pool. I mean, we got a lot of money invested in this already, and for the pool to keep going to the back burner on this, I don't think we've got any years left to put on the back burner on this. My question, and then I think decision on whether, you know, how much you're going to let us bond or whatever to, you know, so we can get cracking on fundraising, you know, because that'll have to go to vote. No, my question was going to be on like this Highway 52 project. Now that's going on a bond also, right?
That is, yep, and that's not voted for. That is just.
That doesn't have to be voted on.
No, but the pool will have to be voted for. And so really what it comes down to is, you know, when do you want to run the special election, have a vote on that. You know, we are looking at raising our levy a little bit, which means about $2 a month on people's taxes. And with the tax statements that came out, we're wondering if we're going to get hammered for that $2 a month. You know, when you're talking about a $5.4 million pool, it was going to be what, $20, $25 a month on people's taxes. So, you know, you got to, you know, well, you can always run it and see, you know, where it goes. That's one option. You know, we were going to try and take a little more measured approach from a staff side. You know, I think Mike's got a little bit to say about the existing pool, because we continue to look at that to see if we can buy a little time or not, if that's even feasible. So, Mike, do you have a couple things?
So I just got an email this evening from Horizon Pool. They had a list of some stuff in the mechanical room there. To remove and replace the multi-ports on the sand filters, remove and replace the circulation pump, that's for the chlorine, and then some plumbing involved with that. Remove and replace the booster pump and lines, and then replace overhead return line as specified. And I've got this all, and I'll send it out to you tomorrow in a email, but that price came in at $35,425. That has nothing to do with outside the pool, and that doesn't get us up to code. The first thing that Horizon did when they were there, they came out and they asked me pretty much point blank how much they wanted us to do there. And I said, well, at this point, I'd like to get the mechanical room so it's at least functional for us. That we're getting a lot of to do with those multi-ports on the sand filters. The plumbing is, and that's part of it, is with chemicals and chlorine that is, and it's old. That's old plumbing in there. It's just starting to fail on us. But they said if they have to do more than the bare minimum, then they have to have the state inspector come in, and he just said they'd shut the pool down until we got it all up to code. And I think in order for it to get all up to code, that's your decking. I mean, we've got a lot of things out of compliance. Your decking, your coping stone, your diving boards. And this was Jeff, as his name, from Horizon. He kind of said it right. He says, well, where do you want to spend your money? You know, where's the best fit to spend your money out there? And to me, it was the mechanical room, because we have a lot of leaks, and that's where a lot of our failures are. But that's not to say that we get that stuff up and running next year, and then our plumbing outside, because we got so many, all our decking and stuff is starting to sag. So that means our piping is starting, you know, that piping under the decking has to be sagging somewhere too. And we've had some infiltration on the sand coming into the pool from outside. So it's where do you start and stop? And that's always the question. So we could, and he didn't put the quote together to do a complete refurbish, but he says you're in that $1 million range to do $1 million plus range to do a complete refurbish of that pool. And he said you'd end up with a brand new pool, but that has nothing to do with the buildings. They don't bid the building part of it. So he would suggest that we get some local contractors to give us some prices on that. But I do struggle with the fact that we would spend $35,000 to do bare minimum and still not be compliant. I guess my question is, what are we doing? You know, we're not doing ourselves any justice. We're kind of setting ourselves up for some liability there, and that makes me a little nervous, especially when I'm the CPO operator and I'm holding the CPO card for the pool. So that's just my thoughts on that.
So would you say, Mike, if they did the plumbing and stuff, they'd have to have the state come down and inspect that?
That's correct. That's what he said. He said the first thing was they just stood out there in the deck and he asked, what are your thoughts? And he said, because if I had anything that I do that I have to have that state inspector come down, he said they would just shut your pool down automatically.
Because the mechanical building would be fine. It would be the shower bathhouse would have to be redone too then possibly.
Well,
right?
that's correct. If they had to have anything inspected, they would go through the whole pool. The state inspector would come down and he'd go through your bathhouse, your mechanical house and everything. It would be a complete inspection at that point. And he just told me there's no way you'd ever pass.
Because these figures that you also gave us now, that has got nothing to do with the baby pool, right?
Oh, the 35,000 is just in the mechanical room. The $1 million, that includes the baby pool. It's just, I told them not, until there was some decisions from you guys, I told them not to spend a lot of time on that complete refurbish. Right. Because it's a lot of stuff for them guys to go through. And he just kind of rounded it up and said, you're in that ballpark of $1 million without going through your buildings.
And so Mike and I had this conversation a couple days ago, and I guess what we think or what we would recommend would be let's just have the inspectors out. Let's have them evaluate the pool. If it's not safe, do we want to open it up? We don't want to spend the money, because we could spend the 35,000 and not have the inspectors out, because that's just replacement of pumps and stuff in the mechanical building. Anything beyond that, or if something needed an inspection, they came out, they might just shut us down even though we spent the money on those pieces. So that didn't make any sense. So maybe we should just call the inspectors out and say, hey, take a look at the pool. Can we run it like it is? Can we run it if we put 35,000 into it? Can we run it for a couple of years if we do that? Or can't we run it at all? Which would go a long ways to an argument to the taxpayers that, hey, we need a new pool. If the inspectors come and shut it down, then it's gone for good until taxpayers step up and fund it. Also, just a safety factor. We don't want to risk somebody getting hurt or making somebody sick. So I guess, what we had talked about, let's just call the inspectors out, have them take a look, tell us what we're going to need to do to keep it running, and then go at it that way to decide if, it's worth keeping running or it's not worth running at all.
Get the ideas from them, the ones that are going to have the final say.
Yep, because we don't want to be shut down after we spend a bunch of money on it.
That 35,000, to be honest with you, that isn't just a whole lot. I mean, that's to get me kind of functional inside that inside the pump house there because I'm, you know, I got one sand filter down now, and then I got a bunch of, well, actually on that, on one of the boilers, one of the headers that's leaking, and that was kind of put back together not so good either. So there was a price on the boilers too, and their recommendation was to go to one boiler system instead of the two boilers like we have. And that is if you go to a complete renovation, he was talking about, and that price on that one boiler is $11,000. So, but he wouldn't consider that unless you guys talked about going to a complete renovation.
And Burbach had given us a figure on redoing everything out here, which wasn't it, Mike, like $2.5 million?
Right. And I think when you start looking at that and comparing apples to apples, I think those figures are going to be relatively close between these guys. The difference in these guys is they don't have anything to do with the buildings, you know, for whatever reason, they're just not into those buildings or any renovation on the buildings. So that's where Burbach had some numbers on the buildings as well. But both those numbers include the baby pool renovation too.
Right. Was Burbach's number though, Mike? Wasn't that putting a zero entry into the pool that we've got?
That $2.5 million, I think that was just if I remember right, it was just a renovation. I don't think that was a zero entry on that either. And their numbers included the baby pool as well.
Well, I kind of like that idea, you know, get the state down here and say, hey, this is what it's going to take for us, and might as well get up front answers from them. Then we don't have 35,000 to throw away, so nobody does. What's your thought on that, Mike and Aaron?
Well, I kind of see this step process. It's like we have three choices. We shut it down next year. We don't shut it down when we convert it into some other space that is a fundraising campaign space, or we spend the money and get it running somehow, which sounds like a difficult process. So we either get the state inspectors to help us shut it down, or we just call it, and then we could get the pool committee involved and turn it into like an event space and maybe spend money that way to, hey, we need all these millions of dollars for the pool, and the city supports it, but we can only support it with, well, the park board supports it with some event funds, something like that. We could use the next year as a building phase year.
Yeah, I think it's a tough decision. I mean, I think at this point, my only apprehension is that we spent so much money already getting to this point where we're gonna be spending a big chunk of money that we didn't want to do. So, you know, I'm leaning towards having an inspector come out and say, you guys can't run this anymore. Then we definitively know and we can go forward with it. I love Michael's plan though of saying, okay, we can't run it, but for now, let's make this into something else where we can use this space to start to raise money and raise awareness and raise, you know, the consciousness of the community to say, look, if we want to get behind this, we need to get behind it. And then we can come in behind and say, okay, here's the big push. Here's what we need to do. And here's the payment that's going to come after it. So people aren't hit over the head with a big vote and a tax and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, I agree. The pool committee really hasn't gotten the community involved in this yet because we're just kind of waiting on this. So, and like you said, I think Aaron and Mike, it's time to get them involved and making some decisions. If you want a pool, then we all got to go to bat. I mean, that's how this first pool got here, was total donations, you know.
Yeah.
So, and I really don't think once we get it to the community and we're at that point, it's like, well, you know, all we got is this much that we can, you know, that we can bond for, you know, so your taxes don't go up, and we maybe got to raise $3 million, whatever. I think it's a very good possibility I think we'd be surprised at how much money would come in if they shut this one down.
I agree. I agree with you, Fred. And I think there's, you hit the nail on the head that there's not the awareness out there. I think some people are following it on the outside saying, well, when is this going to come? Or what's your work on this? Or you get a few questions here and there. But if you get some real community involvement, because if it gets to the point where we have somebody come out and take a look at it and they say, no go unless you dump, some of those numbers we're throwing around into it to be a very big Band-Aid to have it carry on for, I don't know how long, even with that, fixing it up again, how long is it going to hold? And then that's the imperative word, I think, in my mind is it's a Band-Aid. It's something to hold it over. I think at this point in time, where is the money well spent? Like Mike said, is it spent better on just hanging on to it and throwing it into that new fundraising and throwing it into the new pool? Or is it worth spending it on a Band-Aid so we can limp ahead a year or 2 or 3 or whatever? My vote is I think when we really started this push towards the new pool, I think I was kind of at the end of Band-Aid stage. I think we did that for years and years, and we finally got to that point where it was like, look, it's time. It's time we do this push, and I think it's time to get over the hump. So, I really am leaning towards that, finding out definitively where we stand. If they say no go, we can't do it again, well, then we can't do it again. That's where we stand.
No. Okay, I like that. So you run with that, Mike and Brian, then, or do you need to talk anything more about anything else on the pool?
Yeah, and I just want to be clear, at least from the staff perspective, I don't want to bring in the inspectors for the purpose of shutting it down. I want to bring in the inspectors for the purpose of telling us if we can run it, if it's safe or not. If it is, and we can do it for 35,000 for a couple of years, wonderful.
Right, I would think that would be the thing. We want to put 35,000, but we want you to know if you're going to let us go with that. I mean,
Right, and
that's
yes.
the way we go with it.
Yeah, because that'll give the capital campaign a little more time too.
That'd be awesome. I
So-
fully agree. I fully agree, Brian.
I like that direction. Okay,
Hey, Mr. Olson, is your door problem addressed yet?
No, I haven't got to that point yet. Either next spring or, we'll just have to get it fixed somehow. It's a pretty tough shape. The only thing I can think of is getting some diamond plate and try to bolt it through the door, but your whole bottom of the door is kind of rusted off, but we'll see.
If we discuss any plans for the inspector, hiring the inspector or the $35,000, can we include the door repair in our motion?
repairing it as, like Mike wants to.
About $3,200, I remember, for a new door structure.
Put a new 3,200 for the door.
Yeah, I can't remember which building it was for.
It was for the main building there.
Okay. Just to get that out of the way and things a little more patched up for them.
That's
So if you're saying, Mike, if we go ahead and the inspector gives us the okay on whatever portion of how to get that pool up and running, you want that door thrown in to be repaired on top of that, with that.
It seems like it's a reasonable year to do that if we're not going to be replacing pools and structures in the coming years.
But you're not saying go ahead and do it right now.
Oh, I was hoping to include it in whatever decision we make with the inspectors.
Right, yep.
And then I owe you an answer as to how much we can bond and when we can do it. And as a staff, we'll work on that, so.
Okay, any more? We need a motion on to have the inspectors come on.
I don't think we need a motion, do we, Mike? It's just kind of in the process.
Still in the process of the pool?
Yeah, let's just run it as a process of having Horizon come in and telling us what they have to do from their perspective. And they're going to just suggest bringing that inspector in before we spend all kinds of money. That was their point, I guess.
Okay. All right.
I'm gonna ask Kelly. Kelly Hovo, right? And the pool committee, if they want to, work out some ideas if their plan changes to a fundraising kind of year next summer or some kind of plan B if the inspectors do not allow the pool to open. I might contact Kelly and the pool committee and see if they have like a once per month, April through October idea of an event at the pool to do fundraising. Is everybody okay with that?
I think that's fine. It was my understanding and that was just how Burbach's perspective was, but they were, and maybe you can remember that too, Fred, they were going to bring in, to get a whole nother group of people in there for fundraising. Is that correct, Fred?
Yeah, that's part of our phase with Burbach. They come in then and they want to like almost double the pool committee or a fundraising committee. But that would be the next stage, and they're kind of holding until what we decide, we want them to do. But if we figure, if we got a schedule, we're going to do a bond at this time and for this much, we need to raise this, then they'll have that information, and then they're ready, then Burbach and the committee is ready to take off with the fundraising also.
Maybe I'll wait until the state inspector conversation comes to an end.
Yep. Okay, any other comments or questions on that?
No,
All right.
not for me.
Okay, well, do we want to talk a little bit about Mike's going to talk to Kelly about that, or what's your input on that, putting some of them dog stations around?
Yeah, I can reach out to Kelly and we can discuss a little bit of that, Fred.
Okay. All right, then we got to approve the fee schedule for next year. Everybody get a chance to.
I
Not
just
all
put
these
it up on
fees,
the screen
not all
for
these
those that,
fees. Oh, you've got it.
I just put it up on the screen for those that don't have it in front.
Okay. A lot of it's pool stuff, isn't it? I mean, other than, and we almost really can't do much with that until
Yeah.
so, and then we got the shelter fee of $75. I don't know, we're gonna hopefully next spring put a set of bathrooms up there. I don't know if that's constitute of raising that a little bit or not. I don't know. Does that seem fair?
Well, you'd have to decide now because it decides it for the whole year. So you could either keep it the same and change it next year or just change it already.
And that's probably a great thing to do, not knowing when that bathroom's gonna get done. I mean, it'll be done hopefully next year, but it might be a lot of rentals before it's even done, so.
Sure.
How's that
Has
look to you
anything
guys?
changed?
What's that?
Has anything changed from the last year?
I don't think we changed anything last year, did we?
Nope,
I don't-
everything stayed the same.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. when we did it the last time, it seemed like we had some disparity with some other areas around us with like some of the camping fees and stuff. And we made the adjustments, I think, 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, to kind of be in line with some of the surrounding communities and whatnot. But I honestly haven't checked into any communities around or anything like that. But, you know, honestly, I'm pretty good with where they're at right now, to be honest with you.
Okay. Well, I'd entertain a motion then to approve the fees.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to keep the fees as they are written as of today, 12/7 of 2020, going through the next year.
I will second that motion.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second to leave the fees the same for 2021. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. I think that's all I've
So
got on the agenda.
I got one quick question. Is this your last meeting then, Aaron?
It is. I wasn't even, we
Oh.
weren't supposed to have one, so I
No.
wasn't, I thought I was done, but I got pulled back in.
So
Oh, look at
I just want to thank you for your time on the park board. It's been a pleasure.
No
Yes.
problem, Mike. It's been a pleasure working with you as well.
And then I got one more thing I'll throw at you, and I was just thinking of this as the meeting went along. That's Steve Henricks. He might be a good one for the park board. Is there any thought? I mean, we're always shopping around for park board members, and I just want to throw that out there. And I wouldn't be, I would reach out to him and ask him if you wanted me to. But we're going to be short, Aaron, and we're short one now anyway, right?
Right.
Yeah, we actually need two. So I guess I could ask too, how do you want me to advertise? Do you guys want to run ads in the paper, or do you want to just keep it word of mouth and I can put stuff on the website and Facebook and?
It gets out probably more than a paper, doesn't it, nowadays?
What's that?
The website and the Facebook site.
Website and Facebook, yeah.
Yeah, I would run it
Yeah,
through there again.
Since I've been here, I've gotten no hits from any department through the paper.
Yep.
I think it's been kind of selecting from what it's kind of hard to pull people in, to be honest with you. So you just, if anybody comes to mind, let us know. I mean, I don't have a problem reaching out to people and asking them. So.
Well, Mike, you reach out to Steve, and then Brian and I will corner him at church.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm gonna say, usually we just have Miranda tell people what they're gonna do. So just tell them, Miranda, they're gonna be on there.
I'll just tell him that he's voluntold.
There you go, yes.
And then, like I said, if anybody else ever comes to mind, that's been seemed like the only sure way of trying to find anybody to serve on these boards and stuff. So.
Okay.
Thanks again, Aaron.
From here going forward, it'll be really important for you guys to let me know if you're not going to be at a meeting, because no pressure. If you're not going to be there, we can't have the meeting until we have another member. So, and then I had another thought too, and now I just lost it.
Happens to me all the time.
Well, I've got so much background noise. I have so much background noise going on here today.
Tell Stu to settle down.
Oh, yeah, it is. It is.
Otherwise, you're gonna volunteer him for the park board.
There you go. There's another member.
That's right. Neil's not here anymore, and Neil said no more rashes. Oh, I know what I was gonna ask. Are we having a meeting in January?
That's right.
Or since I blew it and we had to have this one, do you want to skip January?
I think we can't we, Mike? Mike and Mike?
I think January was the one you usually skipped, because last year you did have a December one.
Correct.
You skipped January and February because I didn't miss any on my maternity leave.
Well, let's give that extra month then for these, I mean, to get the inspector down here and hopefully I'll have all the information on the bathroom and the campground estimates. That'll give me an extra month to get that all dialed in and so.
Okay, so the
You think
next
Mike,
meeting
it'd be
will
all right?
be,
Go February?
so the next
so-
meeting will be Monday, February 1st.
Okay.
Works for me.
All right.
Yeah, well done. Thank you, Aaron.
No problem.
Thank
Take
you,
this
Aaron.
home, guys. Take this pool home.